Hello, greetings, and salutations. Welcome aboard my podcast. I am Jason with Jay's Paradise Travels. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my experience with the Kentucky Wildcats. This was part of a two-game trip that I saw over the weekend, last weekend. It's still pretty fresh in my mind, so I want to talk about it while it's still fresh in my mind, in a way, I guess you could say, a few days ago, but still fairly fresh. Doing this without notes, although I have some stuff pulled up on my computer just to jog some of the memories of some things, but no written down notes, anyways. Before I get into talking about it, I want to go over a little housekeeping. First off, if you would like to go on vacation, specifically a cruise, which is my specialty, or perhaps you'd like to go see a game, maybe you want to go see the Kentucky Wildcats, I'd be more than happy to help you with this. You can reach out to me in a couple different ways. One of the ways is through social media. I have Instagram and Facebook. They're both the same handle, Jay's Paradise Travels. It's Jays, no apostrophe in there. Jay's Paradise Travels. You can reach out to me that way. Send me a message. Or if you'd like to email me, you can email me. My email address is j.paradise_travels@gmail.com. That's jay.paradise_travels@gmail.com. All right, housekeeping out of the way. Let's go and talk about my experience with the Kentucky Wildcats. As I mentioned, this was part of a two-game weekend trip that I took. It was just me and my dad. I started off on Friday when we left Michigan, left Detroit, went down to Louisville, and saw a Louisville Cardinal game. That is in another podcast, so feel free to check that out. We saw the Louisville Cardinals on Friday, stayed the night there in Louisville at a B&B. Actually, technically, it was Indiana, right across the river, whatever body of water that is. We crossed over into Indiana and stayed there. The following day, on Saturday, starts our experience with Kentucky. We had an afternoon game. We started at 3:30, and we were in Indiana there. Louisville and Lexington are not too far away from each other. It could take probably an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most to get from one to the other. It wasn't like we had to get up super early in the morning and head out over there. So we didn't do that. We ended up getting up, taking our time. We didn't have to be out of the motel until 11 o'clock. We had some snacks in the morning for like breakfast, showered, watched some, let's say watch TV, maybe a little bit, more so maybe just be on my phone a little bit, put on College Game Day, um, that type of thing. Just kind of chilled in the morning. And then at 11 o'clock, we left the motel, went and got some gas um, first, and then we were heading our way over to get something to eat when I saw a Goodwill, and I was like, let me go in there because I don't have a Louisville Cardinals shirt. Now, granted, the game was already over, but I was thinking for podcast purposes, I could wear a Louisville Cardinals shirt, and I'm in Louisville, so got to figure there's going to be a Louisville shirt in there somewhere. And they had a lot of options, I guess you could say, but nothing Louisville. So I ended up leaving there with 5 shirts. They were only like $3 each, which was kind of nice. Not one of them was Louisville. um, oh well, but the other ones were for either other podcast purposes. Um, I was like, all right, I guess I'll just stick with what I had. I have an Arizona Cardinals shirt. That's what I wore to the game. There's a Cardinals team, different Cardinals, but it's a Cardinal. It's football. I figured why not. But I did have this Kentucky shirt for the Kentucky game. Anyways, we went into Goodwill, had a little time to kill. Anyways, couldn't find it. Came out with 5 shirts, which is not Louisville. And then just down the street there was what was called a Goodwill outlet, which I never heard of before. Figured, all right, we'll go in there, check it out, see what it is. And there was all these bins, big, humongous bins. Nothing was like hung up or anything. There was some stuff on the floor, like couches and stuff like that. And apparently the way it works is they charge you by the pound. However much stuff you have, they weigh it. And I forget how much by the pound it is, maybe $1.99 a pound or something to that effect. I don't really recall. Didn't buy anything. I thought that was kind of interesting. I did see like a Michigan like vest kind of thing. Didn't get it. It had a it was kind of stained. Didn't get it. I don't think it would have fit me anyways. Other than that, I didn't really see too much. So we were only in there for a couple minutes. I did see I thought this was hilarious on someone's car. It was a sloth dressed up as the Flash. I found that hilarious. I was like, that's clever. Yeah. Anyways, left there. We ended up stopping at Golden Corral, get something to eat there, which we kind of like Golden Corral, me and my dad. They had this one cake that I hadn't had in another Golden Corral before. It was like chocolate and vanilla combined. It was pretty good. Really, really enjoyed that. We kind of took our time. My dad was sipping on his coffee. Again, we didn't have to rush. We left and made our way over there. I drove. I drove pretty much the entire trip, except for the first 2 hours of the trip. Other than that, I drove the rest of the way. Um, Thinking, okay, we got enough time. But we did kind of rush a little bit. I don't want to say rush, but I felt like we did kind of cut it close. We got there and we're trying to find parking, which is my least favorite part of going to a sports game, specifically college games. Parking's always a nightmare. And we did find a spot, but come to find out, you had to have like a permit kind of thing for it. And I see everyone on their rear view mirrors, they all had it hanging. All right, that's not going to work. We asked one guy who had a lot designated to somebody special, like a specific, I don't know, ticket holder or something. We asked him. He pointed in an area that'd be like $50. Of course. All right, so we headed that way. We found a place that was 40. Wasn't quite where he said. I was like, let's just park here, get it over with. So we did, and we were probably, I don't know, anywhere a half mile to a mile away from the stadium, something to that effect. And a lot of people were still going, and I was kind of hustling there because I was trying to get there on time. And it was funny because I had all the time in the world going up to the game. We were only a couple hours away from it, and yet I'm still rushing. Go figure. Um, we get up to there, and I was able to take some pictures of the outside, which I always like to do, um, from one angle and then maybe another angle. And it was a 3:30 game, so it wasn't like the sun was right at the highest point, but it was starting to come down a little bit. So there was some shadows and stuff like on the field and just with the pictures. I don't know, they look kind of nice. But then when I was trying to get in, I mean, there's just like a ton of people at the gate, and then we went over to another gate more in the middle. So again, I was trying to take a picture of the sign, which I was able to do. And there was a ton of people there. All these gates have a ton of people. All right, so let's just get into one. And I had brought these two um, like seat back chairs. I guess you could say they're like seat cushion. You probably know what a seat cushion is, but this actually has it folds in and there's a back to it, and you can kind of hook it to a bench, so you actually have something soft you're sitting on plus a back. Because if I sit on a bench that doesn't have a back, I'm constantly leaning forward. It really hurts my back, and more recently, even more lately now that I'm 40. Yeah, 40. Anyways, I brought those. According to the website, it would be okay. And the night before in Louisville, they didn't allow them, which were needed because those actually had bucket seats all over the stadium, which I thought was kind of unique and cool. Um, but this one, it seemed like it was okay, but I didn't see anyone else with them, so I'm like, I hope they don't say no, and I got to go take this back. Thankfully, once we got up there, girl was like, yeah, come on in. Didn't say anything about them. Cool. We got in there, and game still hasn't started yet. I was hustling with it, but it still hadn't started yet. And we're up in like the second deck, and I mean our seats. When we walked in, we were on the first deck. Wasn't quite sure. The signs weren't super clear on where to go. So I went up. I went inside the bowl to the closest usher, asked about it. She said, "Oh, just right outside. Take the stairs up. It's right there." Cool. All right. Nice. That's good. That's what I did. Took the stairs up. I'm like, right here? Where? I'm looking. They ain't around here. And we were here. Okay, we can go left. We can go right. Try to figure out where to go. We go right. We finally found out where it was. It was all the way like on the other side. Had we gone left, we would have been closer. But instead, we ended up going all the way around. Like, go figure. And despite that, now things were They're doing their pregame stuff as we're walking. Um, all the other pomp and circumstance that goes on at a college game before the game starts. Pretty good electrifying crowd, or I could tell. Um, the night before with Louisville, they had a decent crowd too. An ACC game. Now this is an SEC game. SEC game. SEC team playing another SEC team. So SEC game, which I was excited about. So the crowd showed up. They were uh, pretty loud. You know, not deafening, but loud enough. Definitely enjoyed it because I like that type of atmosphere. We get there and we get there on time for the kickoff. It was close. We got there in time for that. And I was sitting, we were like on the very farthest end to the right on the sideline view, up top on the right, about maybe like midway in that section up. And I have a wall right next to me. I'm sitting by my dad and a wall at the very end. Thankfully, there wasn't a ton of people in that row, so getting in and out wasn't too bad. There was like one guy and a handful of girls. It wasn't too bad. Not that I wanted to get out too much, but at one point, go use the bathroom, get something to drink, that type of thing. Had to do it. After the game, we were like, all right, we're going down around this way. And it was a lot easier to get out. Um, by the time we got to the car, there was some traffic. It did take a little bit of time to get out of traffic, and I was not looking forward to it because the game took longer than I anticipated. It was probably like, I don't know, good 4 hours ish. And by the time we got to the car, and then we were driving straight back to Detroit, so I was not looking forward to that, but I survived it. And I drove the rest of the way. We did stop eventually, get something to eat at Wendy's and get some gas. Um, yeah, and so that was that experience. 2 days worth. That was the second day. I got in at the middle of, I don't know, 1 o'clock maybe. Got in, showered, went to bed. Fun trip with my dad. Enjoyed taking that road trip with him. And the game itself was fun too. The game itself, like I said, it was an SEC game, SEC team versus SEC team. I've been to a handful of those. And Kentucky, so Ole Miss was actually ranked. I think Kentucky was. Both of them came in 1-0. It's very early on in the season, which the rankings to me early in the season, you don't know. I mean, there's plenty of teams that start off in the top 10 and finish unranked. There's teams that start off unranked and they finish in the top. So what are you going to know at the beginning of the season? And I think the rankings come out maybe after like week 3 or 4 or something, get an idea what's going on with the team. Anyways, Ole Miss comes in ranked. They were 1-0. They had won the previous week. Kentucky had won the previous week against Toledo, I think. So they were both coming in 1-0. First SEC game for both teams. Um, and Ole Miss, I guess last year, the game was in Ole Miss, and Ole Miss had a good season, but Kentucky did upset them. Ended up coming back and winning that game. I can't remember if it was like a last second field goal or not, but they did. They ended up pulling up the victory. Um, so I'm guessing that Ole Miss kind of had that in their mind, like they wanted to get them back, especially since it seemed like they may have had the better team. And we had a bunch of Ole Miss fans right behind us. And as the game started, and the crowd was cheering, I could hear them cheering for Ole Miss. I'm thinking, what? Why are they doing that? And then I look back, and they're all Ole Miss fans. Uh, they and I was like, oh, that explains it. And they were loud, and they were cheering for their team and talking junk with the Kentucky fans. I'm just kind of listening to it, kind of just smiling and laughing because I don't have a dog in the fight. Even though I'm a Kentucky fan for a day, didn't really bother me too much. But one guy eventually did start talking to me, and I started talking with him too. And I had a conversation with them, ended up giving my business card. So who knows? They may use me to go to another road game or book a cruise or something. They were nice enough to me. Anyways, back to the game. Kentucky seemed like they were going to be the underdog of the game, even though they were the home team. And I did like that the crowd was pretty into it. Back and forth they went in the beginning. No one really scored to start, but then with I want to say maybe a little over a couple minutes to go in the first quarter, Kentucky got an interception, and that was pretty big for them. And they ended up uh, being able to have a touchdown run out of it to go up 7-0. And I was like, all right, good for Kentucky. And then and that was at the end of the first quarter, 7-0 in the first quarter. Start of the second quarter, they got the very next drive another interception. I can't remember if it was like two straight passes that were for a touchdown or like 2 out of 3 for the quarterback. Um, but they got another interception. However, they couldn't punch that in. And if they would have punched that in and go up 14-0, I think that would have been pretty huge. I've said this before and I'll say it again. A 10-point lead in football is like one of the most deceiving leads. You go up 10-0, especially if you get a touchdown and then a field goal, it's like that team has a little bit of confidence because they stopped you. You didn't punch it in. It's not 14-0. And then if they score, now they're only down by, if they score a touchdown, they're only down by 3. They got momentum, and it's just very deceiving. That's how I always view it. I've seen it plenty of times. I saw it again in this game. They kicked the field goal, 10-0. Crowd was loud, into it. After 2 interceptions, 10 points off turnovers. Great for them. And they were holding Ole Miss on the very next drive. However, on like 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, something to that effect, Ole Miss goes for it. Does kind of like a little bit of a play action. Gets a pass and ends up taking it almost the distance, all the way down inside the 5. They may have gotten it down to like the 1 or something to that effect, and then punched it in. So now it's 10-7. And as I mentioned, okay, Ole Miss is going to have some momentum on their side now. They held them from a touchdown, held them to a field goal, scored a touchdown on the next drive, converted a 4th down in order to do it. Now they got some momentum, and sure enough, they did. They did get the ball back. Kentucky couldn't score. They got the ball back and went down the length of the field, 70 yards in 8 plays. Ended up getting another 1-yard touchdown run to make the game now 14-10. Now they've got the lead and looking to hold on to it. Before the end of the half, Kentucky couldn't get in the end zone, but at one point they did get a drive going. They went 62 yards in 10 plays, settled for a field goal, but at least made the game within 1 point. I was going to say 1 score, which is 1 score. Now it's 14-13 with, I don't know, a couple minutes left. Or a few minutes left, however long it was. But Ole Miss did take it down again, and they did put together their own drive before the end of the half. Ended up kicking a 43-yard field goal to take a 17-13 lead. Still in striking distance for Kentucky. It was definitely close. And I remember as I was watching game day, I forgot who it was that said it, maybe Desmond Howard, but they had referred to Kentucky's going to want to like bring them down into the mud and have kind of a rock fight with them, slow the game down. And I saw that, happening. It wasn't like this high flying, high scoring game. It was a tougher game than that, and it was back and forth in that way. So I saw that 17-13 at halftime. Going into the third quarter, Ole Miss starts it by kicking a field goal almost halfway in to take a 20-13 lead. Again, Kentucky just hasn't been able to get in the end zone. But they did respond. They did respond with, I want to say, about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. They were able to finally get back into the end zone again to score and tie the game at 20. Like, all right, we got a tie game. Even though Ole Miss at this point seemed to have been dominating in a way. I don't know if dominating is the right word, but it seemed like they were in control, I guess you could say. They were doing better, but they weren't blowing them out. It was still a close game, and now tied up again. However, Ole Miss did respond to that, ended up going 75 yards in 8 plays, scoring another touchdown run to take a 27-20 lead going into the fourth quarter. Okay, they got the lead again. Still striking distance for Kentucky. And fourth quarter, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Nothing going on. Near the end of it, finally, Ole Miss kicked another field goal with a minute to go, made it 30-20. And you're thinking, all right, there's the nail in the coffin. And in a way it was. Kentucky got the ball back, did their best to go down. Now, get this, with 8 seconds to go in the game, They were about 20 something yard line. They decided to kick a field goal. They made it 30-23, which to the Ole Miss fans behind us were upset because it affected the point spread. They made it 30-23, and in hopes of getting the onside kickback and I guess a Hail Mary play. I guess that was their strategy. I guess that was Mark Stoops' strategy. Okay, that's what they did. They didn't get the onside kick. Ole Miss got it. Took a knee. Final score 30-23. Ole Miss beat Kentucky, and that was the game. And it was a fun game to be a part of. It wasn't a blowout one way or the other. It was a close, tight game. Even though Ole Miss did feel like they had control of it once they took the lead. Even in the beginning, before they had the lead, the reason Kentucky had the lead for 10-0 was the points off the turnovers. Had they not had the turnovers, Kentucky wasn't driving and scoring. So it did feel like Ole Miss was the better team, and they ended up then winning the game that day and avenging their loss last year at home. Um, that was enjoyable to be a part of. The stadium itself is called Kroger Field. Kroger, like the store. Now that one I don't mind so much. It's not an insurance company or a credit union or something like that, like the stadium before. And I felt louder like the game before at Louisville. It was loud enough. It had its moments. The speaker system was incredibly low for Louisville. When they came on and started talking, I could not hear them, and it wasn't because the crowd was so loud. It was just because the speaker system was so low, and the crowd had its moments that it got loud. um, Louisville. Now, compared it to Kentucky, Kentucky was the opposite. The speaker system worked great. It was super loud. And my dad, as he's gotten older, being around loud stuff kind of bothers him a little bit. So he wasn't too thrilled with it. I didn't mind. So the crowd was pretty electric. You could tell it was a difference between an SEC game between two SEC teams as opposed to an ACC game against the Sun Belt. You could definitely tell that there was quite a difference there. Stadium looked like a college football stadium. On the looks of it, the feels of it, older. I say that it's you got the cement stands and older bathrooms, that type of thing. Tell it's been around a little bit. It's not like some brand new NFL stadium, that type of thing. Um, there was on the other side, it was the end zones were deck one, just one deck. The sidelines had two decks. We were on the second deck. The sideline on the other side, which is where Ole Miss was, that just had just the deck, and then in the corner, opposite corner from where we were, with the student section. On our side, behind us, we had the press box, and then both sides had a scoreboard. One said Kentucky Wildcats, while the other said Kroger Field. And then it was kind of so that was a stadium, nice stadium. And then just some miscellaneous things. The weather was pretty nice when it came to Kentucky. There was overnight it rained like where we were at in Louisville at our motel, and it did look like there was rain in the forecast. I even brought some ponchos just to be safe, but we never used them. And I brought like a jacket with me in case it did rain. When I say we didn't use the ponchos, I mean they were in our car. We didn't bring them in to not use them. We didn't have them with us. Um, but I did bring a jacket, carry that with me. That ended up not being used either, and it was pretty nice out. The rain like went south of us. We never saw a drop of rain. We did have some clouds, and that kind of helped. So it wasn't like a super hot game, and the sun was beating on us. There were times that the sun did peek its head out, and we could feel it, but for the most part, it was not too bad. As I mentioned, 3:30. There's a little bit more shadows because the sun's starting to set and all that. It was nice. It was really nice. By the end of the game, the temperature had dropped where it did get a little bit cooler. I thought about putting on my light jacket just to kind of help with it, but I was like, I'm okay. I saw some of the Mississippi fans. One of them, it was a girl. She had like bundled up in a coat. Poor thing. In Mississippi, it probably is a lot warmer. Um, and where we were sitting, right on the other side, I mentioned there was a wall. On the other side, you could see like a rooftop, and there's a guy just sitting there. He's got some type of uh, like fold out type of lawn chair type of thing, and he's sitting by some tool equipment. I think it was part of that like that video camera that goes all over the field in the air, and it's like suspended by four different wires from all corners. I think he was one of the corners. I don't know. I didn't see him do much besides sit there, but that must be a pretty cool job. I'm thinking, how do you get that job? That seems like a nice job. Yeah. Now Kentucky, and similar to Louisville too. I guess I failed to mention that in the podcast. Both of them are, to me, when I look at them, I always think of them more as basketball schools, more so than I think of them as football schools. In fact, I remember even seeing a Louisville basketball game years ago, um, when I had a layover in Louisville. And the hotel that I stayed at was literally right next to the basketball stadium, and I was able to see a Louisville game. Um, so I think of Louisville and Kentucky both as like basketball schools, but they'll have their moments that they do well. Louisville's had their moments that they've done well on the football field. I feel like Kentucky more so hasn't, but has gotten better over the last few years, where they've finally made a little bit of noise. I still don't know if they're quite like a SEC championship type team yet. Maybe one day they will be, um, but they'll rise up and get some victories, and they'll play you hard. That's for sure. Um, yeah, I but yeah, I think they're more of a basketball powerhouse than they are. And even with basketball, I was trying to think. I mean, I look at Kentucky, think basketball or powerhouse school, but even then, I can't remember the last time Kentucky won a national championship in basketball. I'd have to look it up. Anyways, um, all in all, nice time. Had a good time. It was a nice trip, just in general. That concluded it. Got home super late from it, but I was able to. I mean, me and my dad just chatted, so that kind of helped. That helped me get through the drive home. Glad I was able to go. If you'd like to be able to go see a game in Kentucky, they play in Lexington, Kentucky. If you'd like to go see a game there, or if you'd like to go on vacation, maybe a cruise, that's my specialty. That or a game, whatever you want to do. Feel free to reach out to me and let me know. I'd be happy to help you with it. My social media, both Instagram and Facebook, is the same. Jay's Paradise Travels, Jays. Not, there's no apostrophe in it. Jay's Paradise Travels. You can send me a message through that, or you could shoot me an email. My email address is j.paradise_travels@gmail.com. jay.paradise_travels@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, and we can connect, and I'll be happy to help you out with your vacation. You, your family, your friends, feel free to share this. If you like the video, please share it with others. I'd be more than happy to be your travel agent, your family and friends' travel agent, as I try to make this world a happier place, one vacation at a time. Again, if you like this video, feel free to share it, like it, um, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. Let me know about your experience with Kentucky. If it's good or bad. Maybe you went to a game, you didn't like the nachos, or you went to a game and had a great time with your friends, or they're your team and you love them and you want to tell me about whatever. Feel free to uh, let me know your experience when it comes to Kentucky. I just ask that you keep it clean if you're not a Kentucky fan and you don't like them. So this is a travel podcast, not a sports podcast. So leave the rivalry hate away from here, please. But feel free to leave a comment. I'd be happy to talk with you about it. And so thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you took something away from it, learned something from it, and hope to be able to talk with you and get you on a vacation here one day soon. Take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.